address the precept. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivade. Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Handamayang Buddhasa Bhagavato Puba Bhagavamatarang Karomase. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Good evening. Just to lay out the plan for this evening, for the rest of the evening, being a big moon, either full moon or new moon, we refer often to as the big moon. If the support team wishes to take the opportunity to request the 3 refuges and 8 precepts, and also people joining us from home if you wish to establish that as a practice either for the rest of the day today or for a period of time, please, this is an opportunity. And I've invited Rinpoche Tito to respond to that. And then after that, if there's a request for a talk, that's a possibility. And then afterwards, we'll continue on with our vigil until midnight. So I'll hand over to Lord Paul.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Dhammāṃ saranam gacchāmi. Sanghaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Dhammāṃ saranam gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Sanghaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranam gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saranam gacchāmi. Ti saranagamanam nitvitāṃ. ปานาติปาตาเวระมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ อทินนาทานาเวระมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิอบรมจริยาเวระมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิมุสาวาทาเวระมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิสุราเมรายมัจจพมาทฐานาเวระมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิวิคาลโภชนาเวระมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามินัจจกีตวาดิตวิสุขตัสสนามาลากันดาวิเลปานาธารณมันตนาวิปุสนัตถานาเวระมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิอุจจาสยนามหาสยนาเวระมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิอิมานิอัตตสิกขาปทานิสมาธิยามิอิมานิอัตตสิกขาปทานิสิเลนะสุขเตงยันติสิเลนะโภกสัมปทาสิเลนะนิพพุเตงยันติตัสมาสีลังวิโสทะเย
Brahma Jaloka Dipati Saham Pati
Kathanjali Anadi Waran Ayachata Santida Satta Parajaka Jatika Dese tu Dhamman Anukampimam Prajam.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ Dhammaṃ Sanghaṃ Namasami. Sunday, March 28th. Here at Cittaviveka, the routines that we have developed over the years, typically this time of year is getting towards the end of our winter retreat. March 29th, tomorrow. Well, today, the 28th, England is getting ready to end a period of almost the same amount of time, 3 months of lockdown. So whether we're living in the monastery or not, there's perceived change. ideas, plans change. And as we've all been practicing Buddha Dhamma long enough to know that change is quite pivotal to the Buddha's teachings. Here in the monastery, yesterday we completed 7 days of all-day group practice. One or two voices have been asking me, so when's the retreat over? When does the winter retreat end? Good question. When does it end? Yeah. What's it like, in our mind and heart when things are maybe a little blurry? So did the retreat end yesterday at 5 p.m. after the last sitting where everybody was here, the nuns and women's community was still up in the afternoon, or is it ending today, tonight, with this full moon vigil? Is it ending on Wednesday, which is what was on the schedule? So yes, on a mundane, practical level, the retreat will end. We've created this thing called winter retreat. Most of our monasteries in the Western Hemisphere have these, not all of them. It was a creation. Other traditions also have their winter retreats. We set out the dates, we set out schedules, we create opportunities. And so yes, on Wednesday, the 31st, the retreat will end. But what will change? What about the retreat in the heart, the retreat in our consciousness, our awareness, our citta? How much of that will change? Does anything need to change? So, yes, the routines will change a little bit. People that have made commitments to be here for the winter will perhaps be moving on. Yeah, this is normal. We won't have as much formal group practice. Yeah, we'll have our morning and evening pujas, moon night vigils. But yeah, we'll go back into a mode of or a routine which includes work periods and more engagement in a normal, excuse me. Pre-pandemic, April 1st would see, or somewhere near April 1st would see our monasteries opening back up to short-term guests. As we know, we're not doing that yet. Nowhere close, actually. But the practice, how much does that change? Awareness, witnessing change. Hopefully devoting some time in our day, every day, to formal practice, some sitting, walking, stillness, reflection, balancing out those times of day where engagement is appropriate, necessary. We need to look after this, the material aspects of the monastery. But as one of my teachers pointed out years ago, the monastery is made up of people. Yes, it is a cluster of buildings and land, but what makes it a monastery is people and what they do. And all the practices that we have been applying, developing for however long we've been practicing. Yeah, that's, in a way, I see it as a seamless, just things changing, routine changing, awareness, witnessing changing conditions. I think it must have been near the beginning of the retreat, either just before, back in the end of December, or maybe the earliest part of January, that I offered a reflection. And I think I said something along the lines of that times of what I refer to as enhanced change or heightened change can be incredibly useful as Dhamma practitioners. Yes, everything's constantly in flux and flow, ephemeral, changing. But when there's, a perceived enhancement to that, for instance, like the beginning, I was referring to the beginning of the winter retreat, and encouraging all of us to really keep an open, watchful mind or awareness on how that affects us, the thought of winter retreat, beginning. And maybe some of us, took that on board and really kept an eye out for that. How is this? What is this doing to my mind and heart? The idea of 3 months of winter retreat. Is it bringing up great joy and anticipation, looking forward to, or is it bringing up thoughts of horror? Oh no, so much quietude, too much quietude, or too much formal practice, or whatever. And that encouragement just to not really be judging or thinking any one particular thing is right or wrong, but to notice what we are feeling, to notice what we're thinking, to know and be clear. So now we have this other prime opportunity, enhanced change, as we morph into more engagement. How does it feel? End of the retreat. So that perception, the thought perception, end of the winter retreat. If we've had a really pleasurable, enjoyable, fruitful time in the winter retreat, if this is a mode that we really appreciate and enjoy, it might be thoughts of, minor thoughts of grief or loss. Oh, I like this, and what I like is coming to an end. If we've not been enjoying, if it's all the opposites of what I just mentioned, if we were maybe struggling, or maybe we function better with more engagement, it might be absolute delight at the thought of exiting the winter retreat, changing back to the more typical routine that we have the rest of the year. Here again, it's not right, not wrong, whatever we're feeling, but the practice is to know what we're feeling, to know what we're thinking. All the practices that we were doing are to tune in, to learn how to be open and aware and mindful, tuned in to our experience moment by moment. For me, in my own experience, over the 19 years that I've had the privilege to participate in winter retreats, 18, 19 years, is that most of those years I could feel this sort of looking forward to upcoming things, because typically there was some sort of either a home visit, or as the years went by, maybe leading a retreat somewhere, going up to Amaravati to participate in meetings, and the joy I get from going and spending a few days there at Amaravati. Interesting, because with the pandemic, I had zero plans to go anywhere. So it's interesting for me to just see the difference. That yeah, sure, there's ideas. I hope to get out to California perhaps this year to see my dear aged mother. Very uncertain. Very uncertain. But yeah, for us to keep tuned in, oh, April, okay, and then there's the roadmap, the government roadmap to unlocking this long lockdown. So tomorrow, up to 6 people from different households can meet outdoors. Maybe that brings up ideas of meeting up with friends out for a walk or a picnic. Maybe family drive down and you meet them outdoors, whatever. April 12th, oh, I can go camping. We can start to go camping, apparently, if the pandemic continues to be lessening in its severity. Well, May 17th, they say, if everything's going well, I can go for a home visit here in England. So this can trigger off, naturally, thoughts, ideas, plans. Same with me, if they were to say tomorrow, oh, you can start international travel at the end of May, that would certainly trigger off thoughts in my mind of trying to get to California. Natural. And the way I work with it is that the thinking is not the problem. It's not, that in and of itself is not problematic, it's the grasping. It's the clinging, when we start to cling to those ideas. And then if the idea becomes a plan, to cling to a plan. I think I may have mentioned this before, but my earliest days at the monastery in California, the Bhagiri, and one of my teachers, I remember once saying, "Oh, Ajahn, you're going to fly to England in a few days and attend the meetings at Amaravati." And elder said, "That's the plan." And I remember internally getting really annoyed. I was like, "Well, no, I've seen your ticket. You've got a ticket. You know, there's these meetings." And I remember it bothering me, irritating me. Fortunately, I didn't say anything, but I kept my mouth shut. But I thought, no, come on. But then as the years went by, and months went by, years went by, and I started reflecting and seeing how the plans could be changed, altered, cancelled. All right. I started to see the wisdom in holding things realistically, really. It's not really for me what to say what's real, but to me that's a realistic view, is it? Yeah, that's a plan. That's the plan. How many of us a year ago had plans that changed? We've just passed the anniversary of the first lockdown. Has anybody not had any plans change in the last year? It's possible, but I think we'd be pretty hard-pressed to find many people. How many of us suffered over changed plans, cancelled plans? So that's the clinging element. That's where the suffering is born. It's not in the plan itself, not in the idea. Buddha was a very engaged person, from what we gather, from what's left behind in the scriptures. All the thousands of accounts of him traveling and teaching and different communities as the monasteries got established. He was very engaged. So it's not the engagement, it's not the thinking or planning, but once again, to repeat, the clinging, grasping at that. Because I know sometimes I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm totally spacious, I don't plan anything, I just go with the flow." Well, yeah, going with the flow is good, and one can maybe live like that, but I haven't seen that work so well myself. That's my own view. It's quite a nice thought. And even monasteries, need to function. So with all the mindfulness that we've been developing, cultivating, honing those tools of awareness, and be open to noticing. So, is there clinging? Is there grasping at this? Notice when things change that are out of our hands, how that feels. What's that like? What's the feeling tone around that? And if there's joy, then all right, I'm really glad that changed. I think in my own experience, and this might sound like a bit of a no-brainer, but it's because it changed to something I wanted. It's pretty easy, And then if I'm disappointed in something, it's because it changed to something that I was really looking forward to, or changed to something that I don't want. a very simple equation. But still, sometimes we can miss that and get caught up in the reaction, the response. Get caught up in that. Get drunk on happiness and lost in disappointment or sadness or grief. Not see what we're doing and not see why it's happening to us. Back to that simple equation of craving, clinging. Second noble truth, craving for sense pleasure, craving to become, craving to get rid of, to get away from. And having plans here again I'll use my own experience. Yeah, having plans is fertile ground for bhava tanha. Making plans, ideas, plans, so that becoming bhava. And over this last week, Lumpur Sudhito offered reflections around also really touching on bhava. So if we recognize that developing, that energy, and see that that upadana, that clinging, fueling, giving fuel to desire, desiring something and feeding that, and leading towards bhava, becoming. Yeah, and just that here again, using our awareness, our mindfulness to recognize that, feel it. Oh, bhava. Oh, it feels like this, it feels this way. Hold it up in awareness. And see what the result is of just holding it in awareness. Just not to push it away, not to think you have to get rid of it, but just recognize, oh, this is what bhava feels like. So that's, this is coming into April. Once again, just reflecting on, a few of your, I think, planning to move on after, on the lay team, on the support team, having faithfully, generously, skillfully supported the monastery for nobody's been here less than 3 months. That's a long offering. It is a very long spell of offering, in my opinion. Supporting. And some of you are planning to move on. And yes, plans need to be made. Monastic communities, some people moving on, either returning to Amravati or even just going up to Amravati for some meetings and then planning to come back. As I mentioned earlier, this evening, maybe thinking of home visits when that opens up, hopefully in May. Maybe some people hoping that the lockdown eases and allows tudong, or what we call tudong, or walking pilgrimages around the countryside, going out on alms round, wholesome things. I place those in the wholesome category. Natural in our tradition. But let's use this awareness, this mindfulness to, really, let's all of us try to stay tuned in to once again, the feeling tone around these things. And not to lose the opportunity that all of this presents us. And enhanced change. All the momentum of practice that's been built up having this more quiet period the last 3 months. I think it's safe to say that most of us would have developed a momentum, a deepening of our practice. Now, I'd like to also recognize that perhaps people are watching from home as we're live streaming this. It all applies. So thinking of if you're dialing in from England, the changes that I was talking about this evening. Thinking about whether you can get a holiday this year, whether you can travel abroad. Go visit relatives finally. It's all the same. It's all inside the monastery, outside the monastery. You can change the detail, but really being open and aware of our inner world and how we're holding all of this. Keeping that eye out, that Dhamma eye. Keeping the Dhamma eye on. Is there bhava? Is there clinging? Is there dukkha? Is there stress? Can I feel disappointed but not suffer? Can there be joy and not cling to it to the point of suffering? It might sound funny or strange or wrong. Why would I suffer over joy? Well, it's not the joy, it's the problem here. Again, it's the clinging. I got it. Born into joy. Because that's what follows bhava, is birth. It's that yes moment. And that's on the positive scale, and when it's born into an unwanted mind or heart state, it's that ugh, that oh, how did I get here? That psychological, emotional birth. This is one of the teachings, obviously I'm only highlighting just a very few of the elements typically laid out in the Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination. teachings. A teaching that I know for myself I've found immensely helpful, and it's one of the key teachings of the Buddha. Helpful to have these teachings. Oftentimes people say, this is another list. There are 8 of this, and 4 of that, and 12 of these, and 5 of those. But I see that as a very practical and helpful and skillful way of having relatively simple frameworks to view our human experience. It's not about believing in dependent origination or believing in bhava, in becoming, or believing in Four Noble Truths. No, these are reflective teachings. These are teachings meant as aids for us to reflect on human experience, to reflect on the changing conditions that every single being is subject to. So this is my encouragement to all of us, to really use change to develop the heart and mind that don't suffer. To use it. Don't fear it. Don't try to overly manipulate. But to be fully open, heart and mind that's open to the changing conditions, shaping things that are appropriate, shaping things that are possible, but without clinging, knowing when to let go, when to. Like climbing a ladder, you need to hold on to the rungs very tightly as you climb, tight enough to keep you on the ladder. But you also know that you need to let go. Otherwise you're just stuck. You need to know when to hold tight and when to let go at the appropriate measure. So as these changes take shape, if we see ourselves clinging, choose wisely. We've got a choice right there. Do we keep clinging, or is it time to let go? So I'll offer that for reflection this evening.
Annamayam Varadama Kataya Sadhu Karam Dadamase
Sadhu, 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 anumodami.
Just to repeat that, so the evening will continue, sitting and walking within the hall. Inside the hall, just sitting or standing meditation, walking meditation elsewhere. And if I could ask, if I could encourage people to be back in the hall by 11:30, so that the last half hour between 11:30 and 12 is nobody coming in and out, and so it's finish the evening in stillness, and then we'll close at midnight.